Look at this. What is that? I ordered a medium skinny cappuccino, and when I was waiting, she said, and I thought she said medium. What I've now learnt to understand is she said mini, which, as I'm on the stand to shred, I don't mind too much. There's less calories. Obviously, shredding for Christmas. Shredding for Christmas this year. Look what's here. M&S. The thickest catalogue of them all. A D. Devlin inspired catalogue. She's looking thick at the moment. This is tonight's viewing, reading. This is what I love about being 27. I can go out to Park Life on a Saturday, Sunday, get mash up. The following weekend, I'm having a cup of tea and I'm reading a Christmas catalogue. Look at it! A Percy Pig cake. Colin Caterpillar cake. Honestly, I do apologise for the state of my physique during December. 2 years of back-to-back COVID and just going in this year. Hello and welcome to the fourth instalment of Ask TMC. Someone sent me a link, right? And today's video is and will be on journaling. However, I couldn't ignore this. Eno cleanse. So from the same cut, we did a little Simian Panda night shred. This has topped it. It's 2021 and we're still doing detox cleanse products. Eno Cleanse helps flush out toxins that accumulate in your gut and intestines. You will fill this natural formula within 24 to 28 hours. Why is it? I like that's a 4-hour window, this bogus supplement to work. Usually it's like 24 to 48 hours. This is 24 to 28 hours. If you're in need of some humour, go on YouTube, type in Eno Sups Eno Cleanse review and watch the delusional individuals that have purchased this product. Or what's quite a frequent concept when people review these particular products is they're gifted. Funny how no one's actually buying these products with their own real actual money. James C. I've never experienced a flush like this in my entire life. 24 hours after my first dose, I went to the restroom 3 times. I felt lighter, my stomach looked flatter, and I felt more energized. James, mate, I could save you 40 quid and you could go and get some reduced chicken from Tesco, have it the day after, catch salmonella, have the same experience, but you don't have to spend 40 quid. I was going to do a Ask TMC on detox supplementation, but I thought that would probably be the biggest waste of my time, and I'd also sort of get infuriated whilst researching. Detox supplementation doesn't require scientific data. It just requires common sense, which unfortunately, as like the years continue, general like common sense seems to just be disappearing at a quite a frightening rate. Just wrap it up, but then we can crack on to journaling. If your body and your organs inside your body didn't detoxify and do what they were supposed to do, you would be dead or like in hospital. So don't take this product. Right, let's move on. You know what I love most about this journal, aside from the positive psychological benefit it gives, is the smell. It's such a new book smell. I love going to bookshops to smell books. Obviously, I don't go to bookshops to smell. I've actually been banned from 17 Waterstones. Obviously, I go to Waterstones with the intention to buy a book, but sometimes I think, oh, I bet that book smells nice, and just sort of... I really enjoyed my mini skinny cappuccino experience. TM, I've seen you mention quite a lot about journaling. I'm going through a bit of a low patch at the moment. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I think the best thing for you that you've just done, and like halfway on the way to making yourself better, is you've acknowledged that you're feeling low, and we can try and fix that. Should probably mention that I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, or like I don't have any qualifications to talk about mental health or like diagnose depression and anxiety. Just sort of speaking from experience here. My mum, however, is a psychiatric nurse, South London Maudsley, big up Lewisham crew. So sort of like feel confident sometimes to talk about these certain topics. Yeah, sorry you're feeling low, mate. I think the biggest one, before we actually talk about journaling, and is going to be a really good point for everyone watching, is that we shouldn't panic when we're feeling a certain emotion. Like many of us, when we feel low, we think, oh fuck, I'm feeling low, what can I do? And we make these like crazy decisions, very knee-jerk reactions, these acute changes to try and like get rid of that low feeling, be it through drugs or booze or like porn or like all sorts of things. And I think the most important thing, this goes for when you're happy as well. When you're happy, you just accept, I'm happy. Don't go, oh fuck, I'm happy. Like, what if tomorrow I'm not going to be happy? I fell into that really weird trap, right, at one point when I went, remember I used to go out quite a lot, right, and especially in Ibiza, it would get to like 4 or 5 in the morning. I'd be like, oh my god, this is obviously quite intoxicated and induced through substance use. But I would get to positions like, oh shit, it's getting closer and closer to 6 a.m. I'm not going to be happy anymore. Like it's a real bad spot to be in. But when you're going through these low patches, mate, you just go, well, I'm feeling a bit low at the moment. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to do anything too crazy to try and change that. Just ride the wave. And when you do that, you win because you've reached nirvana. I learned that in Sapiens. I've reached nirvana. I've reached true nirvana. You're probably thinking, what are you banging on about? So listen, this is in Buddhism, nirvana, a transcendent state in which there is neither suffering, desire, nor sense of self, and the subject is released from the effects of karma and the cycle of death and rebirth. It represents the final goal of Buddhism. I remember reading this in Sapiens and being like, fuck, this is deep. If you're watching this and thinking, oh no, Tom's gone Sean Thompson, I haven't. I've come back around full circle. Although sometimes the thought of taking acid in my garden is quite appealing. Sorry, we went off on a slight spiritual tangent there. Tim, I've seen you mention quite a lot about journaling. I'm going through a bit of a low patch at the moment. I was wondering if journaling may help, but I'm a bit unsure what it is to write in there. Any tips? Thanks, man. A great question and a video that I wanted to do sometime about journaling. I'll be honest, Mr. Transparent, I went through just like life really, nothing too deep, relationship issues, and then going from relationship issues into a 6-month bodybuilding prep where I become so isolated. I mean, what a great combination. I was very aware of journaling sort of like pre-issues or like pre-journaling, and I kind of adopted this very alpha male role of like, well, journaling, you wake up and put like how you're feeling in a book. So I kind of just always had a bit of a weird, like, nah, it's not really for me type opinion on it, which is incredibly backward. My biggest barrier when it came to journaling was, what is it that I am supposed to write in there? Is there like a special shop that I've got to go to? Do I just go WH Smith and get a blank notebook and write things in there? So as I was researching, I came across Mind Journal. You've probably seen them advertised quite heavily on Instagram. This is not a paid or sponsored advert, by the way. So Mind Journal, you are more than welcome. If you fancy giving me a little drink on the house, then absolutely fine by me. But basically what they have is they've got their journals in different stages, and what's so good about their journals is they give you kind of prompts / cues on how you're feeling. So there'll be a tick box here, how do you feel? And instead of having to almost, I know it seems a bit of an odd concept because it's probably quite easy to do so, but at certain times when you are feeling low, the biggest issue is like, well, I don't really know what I'm feeling like. So by having something whereby it's giving you visually where you can go, I'm feeling like this, is fantastic. Underneath you've got intentions and achievements, things you're grateful for, and your happy hour. They stay consistent, and then on the right hand side is this kind of like continuous cycle of different things. Strengths versus weaknesses. List your greatest strengths and biggest weaknesses. Reflect on your relationships. Big one. Reflect on relationships you've had in your life. How have they had an impact on you? What have you learned from each one? What's your biggest fear? So I think for anyone that is watching this and struggling with like that first step of what it is to write in a journal, look at getting a Mind Journal, because they will help you almost aid what it is that you should be writing in it. I think someone, bear with me, I'm pretty sure someone commented on the most recent YouTube video asking about journaling. Bear with me 2 seconds. Yes, The Adventures of Lil. You mentioned journaling and how it was a really good thing that helped you a while ago. Do you still do it, and also how? How do you deal with stress, etc., as I'm struggling with stress management, in brackets, as I think most of us are in the current climate? Indeed. To answer your question, it feels like I'm doing a double whammy, ask TMC. I don't. What I do is I will journal at times when I feel stressed. I think the most important part, and this is kind of relating back to the Atomic Habits book, is when you do start journaling, make sure you do it every day. Don't to try and adopt that particular habit of journaling. When I first started, I did it every day religiously for the majority of prep. I picked it up in can't remember, but I did it for about a good 2 to 3 months. It's been fantastic. My mate of mine just had ACL, went for a really bad kind of low patch because he was an athlete, runner, footballer. I said, look, start thinking about journaling, mate. Got one of these, perfect. It sorts your head out. But at the moment, I don't do it all the time. I do it when I go through a particular patch where I'm like, I feel a little bit overwhelmed at this point. Last week I did a bit of journaling because I was like, I've got a lot on at the moment, the new website, having to try and keep up with like YouTube, Instagram algorithms, starting TikTok. It's like, right, it's a bit of a weird patch for content creators / fitness influencers at the moment. Felt a little bit overwhelmed. In goes the journal. You also asked how to journal, and like, journaling is going to differ from person to person. in the sense that I don't think there is like a how-to journal, but just pulling up a list of potential things that you can write in here, day-to-day happenings in your life, thoughts and feelings, quotes journal, things you need to get done. So being like that sense of being overwhelmed, you said you were quite stressed, and that may not be necessarily from kind of like friendship or relationship. It just may mean, right, I've got a lot of work going on at the moment. Let me just use a journal to brain dump, sort of decompartmentalize, and it will kind of ease off any stresses that I have. Your hopes and dreams / vision board, a gratitude log, reasons to be proud of yourself. I think that's quite an important one. I think that's a really good one to do. Like I said, there's no how-to. I'm just reading what I put in here during my prep. Fucking hell. Like I said, there's no how-to, but I think the biggest benefit of journaling is that ability to get at how you're feeling at that given time, especially for men. Not saying that women don't suffer from that, but I feel that in today's current society, men feel that they need to adopt this very alpha male masculine kind of persona, whereby opening up and speaking to their friends or family somehow dents that masculinity, which is absolutely absurd. But for anyone that does worry, or for any men or women that are watching that feel that they can't speak openly because maybe they're too embarrassed to do so, I think journaling is a fantastic step to sorting a potential situation out. Enough about my opinion. Let's look into the science. As you know, I'm very into research. Benefit number 1, journaling can reduce depression and anxiety. Numerous studies have shown that journaling can reduce overall levels of depression. A 2006 study by Stice, Burton, Bierman and Rhodes showed that writing in a journal can be as effective as cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT, when it comes to reducing the risk of depression in young adults. Studies have also found that journaling can reduce the frequency of intrusive depressive thoughts, help college students who are vulnerable to depression, and reduce overall levels of depression in those diagnosed with a major depressive disorder. One study by Hazindazar found that the simple act of journaling reduced anxiety in women who were suffering from MS. Another study found that journaling could help students effectively manage stress and anxiety, as well as improve overall classroom engagement. Like I said, to the individual that was feeling stressed at that moment, I think journaling is a fantastic way to help alleviate that. Here we have journaling and its effects on helping boost the immune system. Studied by Karen A. and K. Wilhelm report those who journal for 20 minutes per day on 3 to 5 occasions saw the following benefits: fewer stress-related visits to the doctor, improved immune system function, reduced blood pressure, improved lung function, improved liver function. And that's just like, again, kind of sort of almost referring back to basic common sense. Stress is probably one of the biggest killers in the world. You know, you see what happens or can happen to certain people with heart attacks and strokes due to not necessarily like diet induced, but like just due to fucking having a lot on or having a lot on over a continuous period of time. And that build up of stress can cause a whole host of kind of negatives toward the immune system and the body. So if we can do our best to reduce that, not necessarily kind of masking it with any pharmaceutical drugs, but by using something like a journal, then fucking that's great, right? Benefit 3, journaling helps cultivate gratitude. Numerous studies have shown that gratitude has specific health benefits. Gratitude is directly tied to things like increased exercise and improved quality of sleep, which is something that I can definitely comment on. I remember going through quite a bad patch. Sleep is quite shit on prep anyway, but I remember journaling and kind of you go to sleep with a much more positive outlook and a positive kind of mental state. Benefit 4, journaling can help with recovery from trauma. A 2002 study by researchers Greg Mead and Musa also found that journaling can speed the recovery of those who are struggling with various psychiatric conditions. Benefit 5, keeping a journal can improve memory function. Massive. I think a lot of us need to be paying more attention to ensuring that we can keep our memory and keep our brain functioning for as long as possible if we want to look into kind of longevity. So there we go. I hope I answered sort of like both your questions. The original question was, what was the original question? We can just wrap up now. Original question, we're going through a low patch at the moment. I was wondering if journaling may help. Absolutely. I think 100% get on it as soon as possible. What it is that I should write in there, we've obviously discussed. If you don't want to go down the route of getting yourself a mind journal, what you can put in there, if it's just like overwhelmed, if it's you're feeling a certain way, if it's like planning, that you need a journal for planning, for example, or what I'd highly recommend for the large majority of people that are struggling with what to write in a journal, get yourself a mind journal, because it gives you those prompts and cues to help you kind of process that particular feeling at that time. And then the sort of second question was, do you still do it? And also how? I do it occasionally. I do it when I feel like I need to. However, I would seriously recommend, if you do start journaling, make sure that initial block that you do start, try and stay as consistent as possible. How do you deal with stress, etc.? I'm struggling with stress management. I think stress and stress management, or like time management, we could probably do a different video on. I don't really want to kind of merge it with this particular one because I just want to keep it on like the hows and like just journaling in general. Right. I hope that's helped. I think I wanted to do, like I said, a video about journaling for some time, and it has been a massive help and something that I'd recommend. I think I'd recommend journaling to people even if you're not going through any particular sort of slump or low patch. I think it's a very solid concept, and we talked about those other benefits that it can do in terms of contributing to memory and immune function. Why not jump on board? Okay, thank you for watching this installment of the Ask TMC. That was episode number 4, I think. These are going quite well. The YouTube algorithm at the moment is like fucked, but I've just opened a TikTok. Get on it. Follow me on TikTok, TM Cycles. I'm making some decent bits of content on there, if I may say so myself. Anyway, I'll see you very soon in the next episode. Thanks for watching this one. Thank you, good night. Much love.